Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Wednesday, May 18th. This is Gina McGuire. Over the next week, we'll see cool and showery weather across the Great Basin as a series of low-pressure systems move across the area, and this will bring scattered showers and thunderstorms, some significant precipitation to the northern half of the Great Basin, and stronger winds. This will also keep fire potential low through the next week. Over the last 24 hours, we've seen scattered thunderstorms over the southern and eastern half of Nevada across Utah, and these thunderstorms were accompanied by precipitation, which is the image on the left. Most areas over southern Nevada into Utah saw at least a quarter to a third of an inch of rainfall. Over the last 7 days, we've seen good amounts of precipitation over parts of the Great Basin, especially across Utah. This does not include the precipitation we saw over the last 24 hours. Most areas did see below normal precipitation with the exception of parts of Utah and southwest Wyoming. The water vapor satellite loop shows this trough of low pressure over the eastern half of the Great Basin into the Four Corners region, which is responsible for the showers and thunderstorms we've seen over the last 24 hours. A high pressure ridge is still dominating the western side of the basin with warmer and drier conditions. However, a much stronger area of low pressure off the Alaskan coast will drop southeast into the Great Basin, bringing us stronger winds, cooler weather, and significant showers and thunderstorms. Now looking at significant fire potential for today, low fire potential is expected across the region with the recent cool and wet weather we've seen. Today, looking at the weather forecast, the image on the left are wind gusts across the region. Most areas will see generally light winds today with only some breezy winds across parts of southern Idaho. Also, showers and thunderstorms will slide slightly further east today and still will affect parts of Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah. As we move into tomorrow, the area of low pressure off the Alaskan coast will drop into the Pacific Northwest, and this will allow for much stronger winds across the Great Basin, along with increasing amounts of precipitation and continued low fire potential. As the winds increase on Thursday ahead of this area of low pressure, we'll see wind gusts above 30 or 45 miles per hour, especially across Nevada into far western Utah, along with some areas of blowing dust over parts of Nevada due to the recent dry conditions we've seen in this region. However, further north and east, we'll continue to see wet weather with showers and thunderstorms, and also as the cooler weather moves in, we'll see snow levels drop over parts of the central Idaho mountains. If we look at the overall amount of precipitation from today through early Saturday morning, and you can see the most significant areas of precipitation will be over the northern half of the Great Basin, where some areas will see over a half or an inch of total rainfall. If we move later in the week into Friday, this low pressure system drops southeast into the northern side of the Great Basin, again keeping temperatures cooler along with stronger winds and low fire potential with the wet and cool conditions. Most of the precipitation on Friday will be targeted over the northern half of the Great Basin. However, these strong winds will affect all of Nevada and Utah, with the strongest winds over parts of western Utah into eastern Nevada, where gusts will exceed 50 miles per hour. As we move into Saturday through the weekend, this area of low pressure starts to drop south and east, and this will keep wet and cool weather, along with breezy winds on Saturday and low fire potential through the period. As we move into Sunday, this first trough of low pressure moves off to the east, still keeping some showery conditions over the northern half of the Great Basin and into eastern Utah. And then on Monday, another low will drop south, and this will bring a return for wet weather further south across the Great Basin, which will continue into early next week. If we look at the overall forecast amount of precipitation for Saturday morning through Monday, and again you can see most of the precipitation is focused on the northern two-thirds of the Great Basin, with the heavier precipitation amounts over northern Nevada, northern Utah, into Idaho and Wyoming. Now looking at fuel conditions across the Great Basin, fuels are still in green up, with ERCs below the 50th percentile in all areas. Looking at live fuel moisture, some of the recent live fuel moisture data over parts of the central Idaho mountains into northern Utah show that fuel moistures are above normal for this time of year. If we look at the overall extended forecast for the later portion of May, we see these below normal temperatures and wet conditions continuing, with most of the wet conditions mainly focused over the northern half of the Great Basin, with drier conditions further south. That concludes the briefing for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for listening.